to my channel. My name is Susie Dorsey, and today I'm going to give you some prime dating advice. Now, I haven't dated since I was in high school. That's where I met my husband, and we didn't date for very long before he popped the question and we got married, and I don't really remember much after that until we had kids. I explain all this in the Draw My Life video I do on my channel, so I won't go into it now. But he passed away, as you know, so that's why I've been alone all this time. I haven't really dated since he passed. I get out and I meet people, but they just don't seem to like me very much. I went on one date with this one guy, but he never called me back, so I promise this advice is going to be good. I did used to date in high school, so I know all the tricks. So this is for you ladies if you're ready to catch yourself a man. Now, the first thing you do is find yourself a man. Find you a man that you think is attractive and that is attracted to you. That might be kind of hard to find out at first, but first you got to pick them out. You got to look at your surroundings. Now, if you're in school yourself, that's going to be pretty easy, but if you're my age, it gets a little harder because the only places that I go are to the nursing home to visit friends. Sometimes I meet some nice young fellers at funerals. But other than that, I don't really get out much. I go to church, but most of the men there are married already. The only single person that I know of there, his name is Jimmy, and he's, we kind of worry about Jimmy a little bit. So, I haven't gotten very close with Jimmy, but when you do find yourself a man that you're attracted to, then you got to start the process of flirting. Now, to demonstrate what I mean by all these tips, I have a friend here. This nice man offered to be in my video. Eric, why don't you come on over here? Okay. This here's my friend Eric. He's going to help me demonstrate some of my flirting tips. Now, you see this young man here, and your heart starts to pounding, and you know that he's the one. So, you might walk up to him and you say, "Hey there, sweetie. What you doing?" Kind of give a little wink there. And if he's a normal man, he will tell you what he's doing. He might kind of wink back, flirt back a little bit. And then you guys go on the first date. It's that simple. That's how it was with my husband. Of course, he was completely blind in one eye, so he didn't really get a good look at me. So I kind of had an advantage there. But I think if you're halfway decent looking enough, that's my cats fighting. They don't agree with me. Oh my. Oh my. So from my experience, it's pretty easy to get the first date. So let's say that you guys hit it off and you're on the first date. So you may, let's say, go to the movies. So you're sitting at the movies, and if he's very interested in you or slightly interested in you, he might put his arm like this behind you on your shoulder. And you can sort of snuggle. Oh, honey. Okay, sorry. Sit up here. Okay. Okay, so hopefully he won't fall over. Hopefully he's a lot sturdier than this man here. But he puts his arm around you, and you can do the same. So you guys can sit here like this. And the closer you get, the better. So you might want to lay your head on his shoulder. Or if he's feeling extra frisky, he might hold your hand. And the man should be instigating all this, ladies. You don't have to get real forward. Make sure the man is doing this. Make sure he's pursuing you. So sometimes you do have to trick them a little bit. Let me just put that disclaimer out there. You do have to sort of trick them. Sometimes the man don't know what he wants. Okay, I'm just going to tell you right now. Sometimes he don't know what he wants. Man doesn't wake up one morning and is like, "I'm going to get married." You have to set the date. You have to give him a timeline. So I know we're just in the dating stage, but marriage is right around the corner, believe me. It happened with me and my husband. I sort of tricked him in that, though. I told him we were just going to a friend's wedding, and it turned out to be ours, but it all worked out. So after he's holding your hand, that's good for the first date. You don't want to get any closer than that. Don't hold hands for longer than 5 seconds because he might get the wrong idea that you're the wrong type of girl. You're not that type of girl. So hold hands for 5 seconds. That's good. Then immediately, hopefully, unlike me, hopefully he'll call you after the first date and want to set up a second date. And once you got a second date, you know, marriage proposal's probably right around the corner. So you can start planning your wedding then. That's what I did. And like I said, I kind of had to, make it happen. We only dated for about 3 weeks, but, we had a long engagement. So you probably won't even have to wait that long. So you can go ahead and start planning the wedding, sweetie, because second date is when things get really hopping. So you're on your second date. Let's say you're at dinner. Hopefully you're sitting facing one another. Make sure to look dreamily into his eyes. If you're sitting beside him, you might have to do this. Take his head in your hands and turn his head towards you and look dreamily into his eyes. That always works. Hopefully you'll be sitting across from him. But if, you're at the movies again and you make sure you do this. Make sure you look into his eyes. And if he only has one good eye, like my husband, just look him in that one eye. Now we're going to get into the third date. This is when the marriage proposal will likely happen. It should, if you're doing everything right and if you're following my steps. So on the third date, I want you to do something really bold. I want you to kiss his cheek. Yes, I said it. I want you to kiss his cheek. So let's say he's dropping you off. Hopefully you won't have to hold him. Hopefully he'll be holding you. Let's say he's dropping you off at the front door. And you say, "Oh, Mr. Eric, we had such a great time. Thank you for this wonderful evening." And then you stare dreamily into his eyes. Hold that for about 10 seconds. And then you peck him on the jaw. And then he'll just be so stunned, so blown over, so many fireworks will be going off inside of his head, he won't know what he's doing, and he will pop the question. If he doesn't, I want you to go to your local justice of the peace the next day and set up a wedding date. Because, formalities, why bother with all the formalities? So that is how you get through all the dating stages. Now, girls, don't you fret if your man is harder to get than my man was. I can help you. I've got some tips for you. So something you can do to help speed the process along, you could read a love poem to him, for instance. I only know one poem, but, just take my advice on what to do, but fill it in with a love poem. So you're going to put your arms around him. Actually, I might as well just put him on my lap here. Make sure to dreamily look into his eyes. And then you're going to say your love poem. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Jack fell down and broke his crown, and Jill came tumbling after. Don't forget to stare into his eyes. That's the most important part. And then if that doesn't work, you can call him incessantly. You can blow up his phone with text messages. Just show him that you care. You might even want to show up on his front porch, climbing through his window, wake him up while he's sleeping. Let him know that you care, that you're interested in him. I'd say it's too much whenever he gets a restraining order against you. But up until that point, you can, just make him know that you are interested. Another thing you can do is show him your love for cooking and your love for taking care of the house, that you're going to be a good housewife. I would recommend cooking his favorite dish. Don't do what I did. Don't serve him charred remains of the dish that you're trying to prepare. He will get heartburn. I actually lost one of my suitors that way. But, just the regular things like texting him every morning, every night. And you might want to, follow him in his car, in your car. Just follow him down the street, wherever he goes. Kind of keep an eye on him. Make sure to eliminate the competition. I've had to do that a couple times. But just, it's okay to show him that you're interested. Just don't be too forward. Just don't be too forward. Because it's one thing to show up at his work, but it's another thing to hold his hand longer than 5 seconds. You don't want to do that. So, there's a whole lot of things. You just got to read between the lines, figure it out yourself. Each man is different. My man here's a little stiff, but, he doesn't argue with me, so. I hope you enjoyed my tips for dating and marriage. Let me know how it works out between you and your boyfriend that you're trying to get. Hopefully it ends in marriage. Hopefully you have more of a chance than I do.